Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Say What podcast. My name is Hannah, and on this podcast, we like to talk about purity culture, painful sex, overcoming toxic purity culture, marriage, family, relationships, girly things. We kind of cover the gamut. I don't even know what that word means. People just say that, and so I just said it, but I don't even know what that word means. We just cover a lot of topics here at the Say What podcast, and I am so happy to have you. Happy fall. I am so excited that it's fall. However, it was like 80 degrees here in North Carolina yesterday, and I was very upset about it, but I am so excited that it's fall. I was running around Trader Joe's sweating because it was fall, but I was getting my pumpkin waffles because I am a pumpkin girl. Now, fun fact about me is I like pumpkin things, but I do not like pumpkin pie. So I don't know if that really makes me a full Christian girl autumn, but I don't like pumpkin pie, but I do like pumpkin things. I will be drinking pumpkin spice lattes. I have been drinking pumpkin coffee for some time now. So that is just a little bit about me, is that I like pumpkin things, and I'm so happy it's fall. You have to get to a pumpkin patch. Like that's just the rules. Sorry, I don't make them. Like, you have to go to a pumpkin patch this fall. You've got to go to a little fall festival. You need to put it on your calendar. Look up local ones in your area. Like, you got to go. And if you're wondering, how do you find things in your local area? Instagram. I just follow these like Raleigh, Durham, things in the triangle accounts, and they tell me where to go. And it just takes all the hard work, out of me having to do it, and somebody else is doing it. So praise God for that. But that's what's happening with us this fall. We're going to go to a pumpkin patch with our friends. We're going to Asheville with some family, which is going to be really fun and cozy. And I'm so excited for that. And what else we're doing this fall? My nephew has his first birthday, and we're going to go do some fall things for his birthday. We got Halloween. It's a good old time. I'm living in the fallness, and I'm very, very excited about it. This week has been a good week. I'm trying to think of like updates to share with you. I don't know. We're just really living in God showing up for us in this season, which is really cool because I feel like we've had a lot of seasons where God has always shown up for us. But there's been a lot of seasons where it was like, boom, 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 thing after thing happening, can't catch a break, feel like we're constantly being beat down, feel like Satan's constantly like attacking our lives. And I feel like we're finally coming out of that a little bit and are breathing a little bit easier, which is really good. I have been working on stuff. I have been doing my like day-to-day job. The podcast is going well. This is just a really good time for our family. And I do feel like ever since 2 weeks ago, last week on the podcast, I shared about the prophecy that was like spoken over our family and got a little woo-woo, but it's fine. And during the prophecy, he just like spoke some things over us and also prayed some things out of our lives we've been experiencing. And I just feel like it really changed everything. Like, God is so powerful, and he could just like change lives. And I'm really having to fight back, like wanting to yap about everything God has done in our lives the past few months, because then I would like share things that I'm not ready to share yet that are coming in the fall, or I don't even know. I can't say when it's coming because I'm going to be annoying because I don't know when it is, but things are happening. And ever since I said yes to the Lord, it's just been like boom, 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 boom. Things are happening. So I'm just really excited about it. And I can't wait to yap about it all and tell you everything the Lord's been doing because it's really, really cool. And I will just share it all with you at some point. And I'm very excited about that. I'm honest to a fault. I'm vulnerable to a fault. I am just like, I want to share everything, but I don't know how to move in silence. Like that is not me. That is just one thing about me is I'm not going to move in silence. I'm going to move very loudly. I'm going to tell every single person in my life about it because I just got a lot to say and I'm really excited about everything. Let's see. I don't even know what else to share with you besides like the topic of today's episode because everything's just kind of been going good. I have been having some tailbone pain recently, but we're just pushing through. I think it's because I sit on my couch too much, truly. And it's really hard when you work from home with the baby to not sit on the couch, because if I can sit on the couch, I can get to everything he needs. And I work on my computer and I try to work from my island in those chairs, and then he's just climbing on me all day long. So, there's not really a good balance. But besides that, we're doing good. We're doing good over here. Well, I'll just go ahead and jump into the episode then, because I have just had my girls who are experiencing painful sex, vaginismus, on my heart. I've just been thinking about you guys. Whenever I've been praying and asking the Lord, like, what do you want the podcast episodes to be about? he has just been telling me over and over, like, really need to speak to these girls. Like, I want you to speak to this community. I think they need some encouragement, and I'm just going to follow with what the Lord says. And so I have been thinking about all of my girls who are experiencing painful sex. I've been thinking about all of the ones who have been going through treatment and aren't experiencing any kind of breakthrough yet. I've just been thinking about you guys. So I just wanted to give you some encouragement today because I know how hard it is to be going through this journey. And I really just wanted to give you like a pep talk because it is such an isolating thing to be experiencing painful sex. Because number one, like, you're not talking about painful sex to like your boss at work. You're not talking about your ailments with your coworkers or with like your friends at church. Like, you're just not talking about that kind of thing. Like, if you had, I love to use the example of breaking your leg now because I have in fact broken my leg. But when you break your leg, like, it's very obvious. You can talk about it to whoever. You can talk about how much you're in pain and how sad you are and disappointed that you can't walk. And you talk about, how frustrated you are about the healing process taking forever or having to go to physical therapy all the time. And you have all these appointments and all these medical bills from it. And you can just talk to whoever about it. You can complain about it and it's fine. But when it comes to experiencing painful sex, you're not really talking to anybody about that. That's a very personal experience, unless you're like me and put it on the internet. But if you're not like me and you're not putting on the internet, you're experiencing it by yourself. And hopefully you've talked to a couple close people in your life, but especially when it first happens, you're not sharing with anybody what you're going through. You're just experiencing it on your own and you're feeling really isolated and you're just like, I am suffering every day with this and I have no one to talk to about it. And you maybe you want to talk about it because it's something you're experiencing all the time, but then it's like, how do I tell somebody? What do I tell them? Who can I share it with? What's comfortable? Like, it's really hard to discern that. And so oftentimes we just deal with it on our own. I mean, I experienced pain with sex for a whole year before I shared it with my best friend. And we talk about everything under the sun. And I didn't tell her until I was experiencing it for a year. And it's just really hard because it's I don't even know when I was experiencing what the necessarily reason of me not sharing it was. I just think we just weren't really talking about that part of our lives. And we talked about it some, but it was just I didn't feel like I could share it with anybody. And I was feeling so alone, so isolated. And that was on me. I wasn't even giving anybody an opportunity to respond positively. I just wasn't sharing. And I just felt so alone. And because like I said, this is sex. It's not something that you are just talking with, anybody about. It's a very personal experience. And I do think we should normalize talking about sex. If everybody's having it, we should be talking about it. And there are obviously boundaries that you need to have. You're not sharing every detail and, keeping things between your spouse. But this is something that you're experiencing pain with, and it can be affecting all areas of your life. Sex is a huge part of marriage. I'm not talking about just penis and vagina. When I refer to sex, I'm talking about as an umbrella. Sex and physical intimacy is a huge part of your marriage and relationship. And it's what separates you from just being friends with somebody, from being pals. It's not the only thing, obviously, but it's really what, makes your marriage, a relationship. And it's a way to show your spouse that you love each other. It's a way to make babies, which is so beautiful that babies are born out of love. Hopefully. I know that doesn't always happen, but it's a beautiful experience, and physical intimacy is such a big part of your marriage. And so when you're lacking that, or it's not what you were expecting it to be and it's different and you're not able to do what you want to do, you can just feel so alone. You feel like you're missing something. It's affecting your relationship. Hopefully you guys aren't fighting about it, but you might be fighting about it, or you might feel like you're having a disconnect between you and your spouse because this isn't happening. Or you keep trying, it's just met with disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And then it just leads you down this mental path of what's wrong with me? Why can't this happen? This isn't fair. I did what God asked me to do, or I don't know why this is happening to me. I have a great view about sex. I don't understand. I could use a tampon and then sex hurt. That makes no sense. Or you're just constantly trying to figure out why this is happening to you, what the root cause is, and you feel like you're getting nowhere. And so you're feeling so defeated in every area of your life, and it just consumes your brain. It really does. It consumes your brain because something that seemingly everybody else can do, you can't do. And so you're like, what is wrong with me? I am broken. I will never be able to do this. I just feel so alone, so isolated. And I just want to encourage you that you are not alone. You are not broken. Something in your body may not be working the way that it you want it to be working or the way that you thought it would be working, but that doesn't mean it can't be healed. That doesn't mean healing is off the table for you. It will never happen. You're just broken and nothing can be put back together. Your body can totally be put back together and work the way that you want it to. I totally believe that healing is possible for you. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in other people's lives. I swear, every time I get a message from somebody that's like, I experienced pain-free sex, it is the greatest part of my day. I literally jump for joy every time. Like, I'm not just messaging you back and being like, oh my gosh, yay. Like, I really mean it. I'm like, oh my gosh, yay. I am so happy. They're my favorite messages to get because I love you guys. I support you. And I know what a hurdle it is to go through this painful sex journey. And it just consumes every part of you. And so when it's not working and you're experiencing all this disappointment and you're experiencing all of this hurt and what you feel like is failure and just being let down and confusion and honestly probably feeling like separated from God a little bit, because if you grew up in purity culture, you were told that if you wait till marriage to have sex, it'll be everything that you want it to be. And that is a myth. I'm currently reading a book right now that is going to be coming out in a couple weeks, in a couple weeks, and it is so good. And I'm going to have the author on to talk about her book. And it's called Recovering from Purity Culture. And it's just fantastic. And I've talked about this myth, the fairy tale myth, but she actually put a name to it, which I love. But it's like, you're told if you do all these things, you're just going to have a perfect sex life and it's going to be great. And it's like, that's not true. Just because you wait until marriage to have sex, which is what God asks us to do, doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect, but you're told it's going to be perfect. So that just leaves a lot of hurt and confusion, especially if you've been dealing with shame about your body. You thought maybe like, okay, well, once I get married and I know that my husband's in this forever with me and we're like doing this together, the shame that I'm experiencing in my body will go away. And then that doesn't happen. And that can also lead to you experiencing painful sex. And so there's just so many things going around in your brain and you're just like, I am consumed with this all the time and I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to break it. And I'm so frustrated and nothing's working and it's not getting better. And if you're anything like me, you waited and waited and waited for it to get better and it just didn't. And I'm here to tell you, like, just waiting for it to get better, it's not going to get better. And I'm really sorry just to tell you that. But this is also a little bit like pep talk, like kicking the booty. Like, we have to do things to experience that healing. And I 1000% believe that God can heal you. And I believe that God can heal you through you taking action as well. And so if you're experiencing pain-free sex and you're just hoping it's going to get better, we need to take some more steps. We need to take some more steps. And I'm saying that like holding your hand, like we need to do something about it. We need to go to the doctor and you need to get checked out because there could be reasons other than vaginismus for you experiencing painful sex. Some people's have an imperforated hymen, I think is what the correct term is. Basically when your hymen is not is like not breaking. And some people don't have a hymen, some people do have a hymen, some people it has broken. It's like the popping the cherry, I'm putting that in quotes, is what the hymen is. But some people's hymen could literally be what is causing you pain. And like it's actually why like you can't insert a tampon or have sex because the hymen is truly in the way. That could be a cause for you experiencing pain-free or painful sex. You could have an infection, some kind of bacteria. Like there's lots of reasons why you could be experiencing painful sex. That's why I believe step one, if you're experiencing painful sex, is to go to the gynecologist because you need to get checked out to make sure that there's nothing else going on down there. It also can be a relief to get a diagnosis because if you're sitting there wondering like, what is wrong with me? Why isn't this working? I don't know what's going on. It can be really relieving to know like there is a name for the pain that you're experiencing. And it's vaginismus. And if there is a cause for it, there's usually a treatment plan. There's usually a solution. And so if you are told like, okay, you have vaginismus, now we have step 1, 2, 3, 4 of what you can do if you do have vaginismus. So go to the doctor. That's number 1. Number 2 is go to pelvic floor physical therapy. If you break your leg, you go to physical therapy. If you break your arm, you go to physical therapy. If you are struggling mentally and have anxiety or depression or OCD, you go to therapy. If you are experiencing pelvic floor issues, you go to pelvic floor physical therapy. It's that simple. There's no shame around pelvic floor physical therapy whatsoever. I know it feels a little bit different because they're doing like internal work and external work inside of your vagina. And I understand that that is really like iffy, that can feel really uncomfortable, that can feel just really kind of bizarre, but it is just a medical treatment. It is a medical treatment. It's not any deeper than that. Like it is a medical treatment. And it's okay to feel those like worried feelings or stress feelings, because it is an intimate experience. But I think if you can get your brain wrapped around like this is just a medical treatment and nothing more than that, that can really help you be okay with going to pelvic floor physical therapy. Because my pelvic floor physical therapist did put her fingers into my vagina and she worked on the muscles in my vagina. But because she put her fingers and worked on those muscles in my vagina and like kind of stretched them out and helped my body get used to the touch that needed to happen, and she like worked on the fascia that's in my body around my pelvic floor area and helped relieve all the tension that I was holding, I was able to experience pain-free sex because of that. And so that is just the treatment plan for what is happening in your pelvic floor. And I know you're listening to me like, that sounds crazy, like someone putting their fingers in my vagina. That's not me or my spouse. Like, that's wild. I understand. I get it. But it's not any deeper than that it's just the medical treatment. And I do believe that's why it's really important to feel really comfortable with your therapist. Me and my therapist, we just be talking about what her daughter's doing later that day or what's happening, in the world. We'd be talking about my plans for the weekend or what vacation we're going on while she's doing this therapy. So it doesn't feel so just like deep and heavy and intense. But I do remember one time we were talking about a stressful topic, and she said like, oh, I can feel your muscles like tensing up when you talk about this one topic. And I was just like, that's crazy. And that's why I'm in therapy, to help my muscles just like calm down, because you can't do it yourself. Like I don't know the muscles in my pelvic floor to be working out, to be like relieving the tension of, like, I don't know how to do that. Dilators are great. I do think that is something that you could use. They are a fantastic tool to help your body get used to that insertion, because your body, when you have vaginismus, is conditioned to experiencing pain. And so whenever something is about to be inserted, those muscles are like freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want this to happen. And so when it's a penis that's going inside you or fingers, like that's going to take some time for your body to understand like, okay, this actually is safe. And you can't really control the depth of a penis. Like you need to be able to control what's going inside of you. And that is what dilators are for, because they're just a tool to help you experience the pain-free insertion that you want to happen if you're experiencing painful sex. So you can work around the vaginal opening. You can go from the small size to the large size. Dilators help with depth as well. So if you're like having a lot of pain going deeper inside of you, a dilator can reach that versus trying to get a penis. It's just not working. Like you need to use the dilators, and they're not necessarily meant for pleasure. I do think as you're going down your dilator journey, if you do start to experience pleasure, that's a good sign of healing. That is a really good sign of healing. And you're like, okay, maybe you don't need to be using dilators anymore if you're starting to experience that. But they're not meant to be like a tool to use for masturbation. That's not what they are, because I understand people have boundaries around what they are willing to use and what they're not willing to use as far as like sex toys. And that's why it's so important to understand that dilators are not sex toys. They are medical tools. There is a difference. They are not sex toys. They are medical tools. And because before I was married and even after being married, like I'm not going to use any kind of sex toy to masturbate, because I do not masturbate. I do not believe that is biblical. I think that sex is meant to be relational. I do think you can like masturbate while you're having sex with your partner, because that's like you guys doing it together. And that's like a boundary I'm cool with, because I feel like that's different than doing it solo. But solo is like you're meant to have sex relationally, not on your own. And so using dilators, it's also why it's good to know that it's not a sex toy, because if you are doing it by yourself, like you're having your dilating session by yourself, you're not doing it to try and experience like sexual pleasure. It is just your therapy. So that's like really helpful mentally as you're trying to separate between the two. That can be really helpful. All that to say, dilators are great, and they're an incredible tool to use if you're experiencing painful sex. I want to talk to the girls who are currently like in process. They're going to pelvic floor physical therapy. They're using dilators. They're doing the stuff. They're doing the work. It is a long journey. It is a long experience. It's going to take some time. Your body is conditioned to experience pain, and that is not going to be overcome in one session. That is not going to be overcome overnight. I do believe you can see some progress with one session of pelvic floor physical therapy. You can see some progress, but it's not going to happen in one session. I'm so sorry to tell you that. It's not going to happen the first time. It might not happen the second time. It's probably not going to happen the third time. It really takes time for your body to get used to the insertion being a safe and okay thing. And and for your body to understand it's a good thing. You know, if you grew up in purity culture and that is the cause of your vaginismus, which is the cause of a lot of people's vaginismus, there was a study done a couple years ago where 20% of Christian women experience painful sex. And I believe that number is significantly higher, but because of the stigma and the shame around this topic, they're not reporting it. And so I really do believe that statistic is higher. But it's very common for Christians to experience this because of the messages that we were taught about sex. And so that is a lot of years for your body to overcome. You know, the body remembers all of those messages that we've been taught and it internalizes them. And so year after year, you're hearing these things for a very long time. And then we're just expected to, boom, one night you get married, you sign that document and that you're married, you have that ceremony and you're supposed to just be okay with sex. That's not how that works. It doesn't happen overnight if you've been believing these things for a long time. So it's going to take some time to like rewire your body and rewire your brain to know that these things are good. It's not going to hurt because your body is like one thing. It's not just like there's your brain, there's your pelvic floor, there's your jaw. Like it's all connected. I don't know if you knew this, but your jaw is connected to your pelvic floor. That is one symptom that I didn't realize would be like a cause of my painful sex or a symptom of my painful sex is that I experienced a lot of tightness in my jaw and pain in my jaw. I did not know that could have was a sign that I was having pelvic floor problems. I had no idea. So it's going to take some time to overcome it. Like you might be in this for a minute. It took me 7 months. Looking back, 7 months is really not that long, honestly. I know some people could be in treatment for years. I do believe it doesn't have to be that long. I think that healing can totally happen if you're like putting in the work, doing the work mentally, doing the work physically. But it just takes time. Like I want to encourage you, if you've been going to a couple sessions and you're feeling really discouraged, it takes time. Keep going. Keep going. Don't give up. This is a really hard thing to go through because it's a long process. It takes time. It can be really discouraging. You can feel like you've made some progress and then feel like you're going backwards. But know that the progress that you've made, like no one's going to take that from you. Like God is with you in this. You've made that progress and Satan's not going to like take that progress back from you and you're going to step back. It is a real up and down journey when it comes to this. I feel like the Bachelorette because I keep saying journey, but it really is an up and down journey because it's not just like linear. It's not, healing is not linear. It's not just going to go up. Like you're going to have good days and bad days because that's what life is. And I know for me, my vaginismus would sometimes like flare up, I guess is the term I'm going to use, when I was going through something really stressful. So if there was like a season of my life where things were super stressful, it felt like my vaginismus was coming in full force because that's the way that my body knows to respond to things, is for my nervous system to kind of freak out. So if I was going through something stressful, I would have, a harder time trying to have sex. But then the next day it would be better and it would be a little bit easier. And it's just a journey for your body to know that like it's okay to trust that this is good and insertion is good and it's not bad. And so it just takes some time for your body to get used to that. And it's going to be up and down. It's going to be up and down. But you've got this. Like I want you to know that you are not alone, that healing is possible for you. There is an end to this process that ends with healing. It can happen for you. I want you to keep that hope that it can happen for you, that it doesn't have to always be this way, that it's not going to always be this way. That joy that you're looking for, that connection that you're looking for, it is possible. And if you've, maybe taken a break from going to pelvic floor therapy or using dilators, and it's been a while, like this is your encouragement to go get those dilators and dilate tonight. This is an encouragement to go call your pelvic floor physical therapist and set up an appointment. Like, I don't want you to give up and think that just because you've been working at this for months and you're not seeing any progress, that means like, oh, that's it for me. I guess it's never going to happen. Because that's not true. If it's not working, we need to change something. We need to find a new pelvic floor physical therapist. Maybe we need to try just regular therapy for a season and working on the mental parts of this. So maybe we need to be working with my friend Jess, who is a coach for this and really works with people who have tried pelvic floor therapy or tried therapy and nothing is working for them. She specializes in working with clients like that. So maybe you should try working with pain-free intimacy. There are so many options out there for you if the track that you're on is not working. We can just pick a new one and try something different. And I know that takes time. I get it. I was going to a pelvic floor physical therapist and did not like our connection that we were having. I didn't like the things that she was saying. She kept telling me to take medicine and numb my vagina. And I'm not trying to numb my vagina. Like, I want to enjoy sex without having to put numbing cream on before it. Like, what's the point? If you can't feel it, then it's not enjoyable. It's not fun. And so I just didn't like the stuff she kept telling me to use. And so I didn't go back to her, and I found a new therapist. And I found a new therapist from a random Facebook group. So there are other people out there that can help you. There are other options. Because the world we live in, there's so many virtual people you can meet with as well. There's different doctors you can meet with online. So like, there are options for you. You're not stuck in this one path just because it's the first doctor that you picked. You know, like, you can find other people. You can find other care. You can pick up those dilators again and try them again. You know, there are other options out there for you. You can try a wand if you haven't tried that yet. Maybe that could be helpful. Get back on a regular routine of dilating to see some progress. So if you've been experiencing it and you're like, oh, nothing's working, I'm taking a break, we need to get back on. We need to get back on if you're trying to experience that healing for yourself. Because I just want to encourage you in that, because I know it can feel really daunting to start again. But I think it's worth it. The healing is worth it. It's worth all the time and effort that you're putting into it. It is worth it. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in other people's life that I've talked to. Like, it really is worth it. Like, it is worth it. I just want to provide you with some hope today. Also, if you are suffering in silence, please tell somebody. Like, even if you're going to pelvic floor physical therapy and you're doing the work and you don't have any like friends to talk with about it, like, I really want to encourage you to tell a friend. I'm sure you have somebody in your life that you can share this with. It just helps relieve some of the burden that you're carrying on your own to be able to talk to a friend about it. Because going to this therapy, it is like invasive. I know I said earlier, like, it's not any deeper than it's a medical thing. It is just a medical thing, but it's an invasive medical process you're going through. Okay? It's invasive. And that can feel really heavy. It's also like a painful process. Like, pelvic floor physical therapy is not like it's not fun. Like, it can be painful. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's painful when you're trying to work out these muscles. And so you need people you can talk to about it. You need to be able to go and share with your friends. Like, I just had this session today and it was really hard. Or I just had this session today and it was really great. You need people who are going to be there with you to mourn with you and to celebrate with you. So find a close friend that you can share and just tell them, like, there's no easy way to say this or no like fun way to say this, but I've been experiencing really painful sex for a long time and it's been really hard and I really want to experience healing. So I'm going to pelvic floor physical therapy, or I'm using dilators at home. And I just wanted to like share that with you so I can have somebody to talk to about it. That's all you have to say. Like, that's all you have to say. And it will feel so good to get it off your chest, just to tell somebody and not sit with it in silence. I know it can feel shameful to be experiencing this. I know it can feel embarrassing, but you have nothing to be embarrassed about. You have nothing to feel ashamed about. You didn't choose this. You didn't want this. It's not like you sought out experiencing painful sex. It's something that is happening to you, and it's okay to share that. There's nothing to feel ashamed about. There's nothing to feel embarrassed about. I know it can feel just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it because it's like, I have all these reasons, whatever. No, once you've brought things to the light, shame is not going to live there anymore. Satan loves to live in the dark and keep you isolated and keep you alone, and he'll take something that feels small and make it really big. But once you share it with a friend and bring it out to the light, say, it doesn't feel as big anymore. And Satan's lost. He lost that battle. He's lost that battle of trying to keep you isolated. And so it's only like good for you to share things. You know, there's only good things that can come from that. I hope that you have good people in your life that won't, you know, shame you for it or make you feel any like worse than you already do. So pick, you know, trusted friends. But I want to encourage you to not be suffering with this in silence. Like, tell somebody, because it would just help you feel not so alone and not feel so burdened with it. Because I do want to tell you, you are not alone. Trust me. I talk to women every single day who are dealing with this, from every age, every marital status, across the board. I've talked to somebody. I promise. You are not alone. I hear the same, what feels like the same story over and over again. And even if you feel like your story is so unique, I promise I've talked to somebody who has experienced this too. So you are not alone. There's a band of women standing with you, encouraging you, letting you know that healing is possible, that you don't have to be doing this alone and by yourself, and you're not alone. So we're here for you. This community is here for you. I love you guys. I just want you to know that you can do this and that healing is so, so possible for you. So I hope this was encouraging for you today. I just love you guys so much, and you guys are always on my heart. And I just want people to experience the like incredibleness of physical intimacy with like the penis and vagina part of it, because I believe there's so many other incredible ways to be intimate with your spouse that is not like penis and vagina sex. But I know the desire that you want to have is that, like, that part of sex is penis and vagina, and that's okay to desire that. I wanted that really bad, and it's a good thing to experience, and I understand like wanting that so bad. I know I'm over here like sex is an umbrella and there's all these things, but you're like, Hannah, I want to have actual like intercourse. And I'm like, I get it. I did too. And so I just want to encourage you that it can happen for you. And it's a really beautiful thing when it does. And I know that it can happen for you. And I am praying for you guys so much. And I'm just believing that the Lord can heal you, and the things that you're going to do as well to help you get to that healing, I believe that you can do them. So I love you guys so much. I hope this was encouraging for you today. You are not alone. If you want to talk about this more, you can send me a DM on Instagram at say.whatpodcast. But I love you guys so much, and we will talk soon.